Welcome to the Municipality of South Dundas and his regular council meeting with his team and staff, guests, visitors for Wednesday, November the 6th, 2024. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I have a motion. Let it resolve that council rise and reconvene into open session at 6 p.m. and that council direct administration to carry out all activities as specified in the closed session minutes. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Confirmation of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments to tonight's agenda? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. Can we pull 10G out of consent?
10G?
Yeah.
Sure can.
Thank you.
Into discussion?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Any other amendments? Okay, I have a motion. Let it resolve that the Council Municipality of South Dundas approve the agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Item number 4, disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none. Number 5, adoption of minutes. I have a motion. Let it resolve that the minutes of the following meeting be adopted as presented. The regular meeting of October 23rd, 2024. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll move into delegations. First up, we have Amy Lopez with First Due, and she is joining us via Zoom tonight. Go ahead, Amy.
Thank you all. I'm actually here to support the fire department and Chief Alder Hughes. Not sure if he's in attendance.
Fire Chief Jeremy Eldred Hughes is here. Yes, he is.
So, hello Chief, how are we doing? I sent over, I don't know if Chief had anything he wanted to start off with.
Fire Chief.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I'd just like to welcome Amy. It's been a pleasure over the last year working with her. Amy's our customer support person with First Due, which is our new records management system that we've launched in the fire service. There's a wide variety of things that First Due is providing for us. And we're going to touch on one tonight, Community Connect, which is something we'll be rolling out over the next week. And yeah, I'll let Amy walk us through Community Connect and all of the things that it offers us.
Thanks, Chief, I appreciate that. So I supplied your clerk with just a couple of slides to kind of walk through what Community Connect is. I'm not sure if you can see them or if you want me to share my screen.
If you could share your screen, that would be ideal at this moment.
Just find it. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Excellent. Yes.
Awesome. So very briefly, First Due is an all-in-one that Human is using to, streamline operations and to improve their service for you and your constituents. Community Connect is an online portal that allows you to share information about, your location, your occupancy, your home,
Sure. Well, thank you, Amy, for sure. I'm sure we'll have some questions and comments. And I know the chief is here too, so he may be easily to answer a few of these questions. I have a couple questions off the hop and a comment or two. On the burn ban side, we've been talking about that, the burning permits, right? We were talking about that several meetings ago. So this is that portal into leading into that on the burn permits. A couple questions. I noticed on the first slide where folks can indicate if they have pets or they have hazardous material. Is one of the options for us to let you know, Chief, if they have a electric car battery in the garage?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so part of our rollout for this at different public events, we'll be able to help people create their profile and give examples in our rollout through media and stuff of the types of things we're looking for. So a big one, as you mentioned, electric cars that may be parked in the garage. If they have backup generators, that can be a hazard for firefighters. It could also be a family member that cannot self-evacuate, needs assistance. There's just a large scale of information that residents and business owners can provide us to provide a safer experience for both the occupant and the firefighter.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I was thinking, of community events, like when we had the eclipse, that would have been something we could have pre-planned into that, into the program, et cetera. Obviously, the industrial commercial side would be super important versus individual residents. Do you have a good plan, Chief, on reaching out to them, promoting it to them? Because it is, it's
Yeah, so
not mandatory.
right. So again, through you, Mr. Mayor, we're looking at some students for next year, and we'll be reaching out to local businesses to book appointments where our tech-savvy students can go out with the iPads, help the business owners navigate the system, how to input their information. What's really cool with First Do is it's not just about inputting information, it's about inputting documentation, inputting pictures, all of that stuff. So as our fire apparatus is leaving the hull, that person sitting in the captain seat can open up the iPad, see the pre-plans, and start initializing things with crews that, we do have a propane tank on the Charlie side of the building, or we do have hazardous materials here, where the electrical panels are, all of that sort of thing. But we'll be working very closely with business owners to help them upload that.
Gonna keep the airtime going if you don't mind. Two more. One, working on like in industrial, certainly larger commercial, joint health and safety committees. Would that be an avenue where you could reach through to the companies to give your spiel about the program?
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point too, this information is always updatable by the account holder. So whether it's access codes for buildings, that kind of thing, changes that have happened in the building, it can always be updated.
And Amy, last question from me to you. What would be what should we put as a goal, or what would be a typical enrollment strategy for percentage-wise that we would look at? Is that something you kind of have at hand, or something you could share with us?
I wish I could. I think the intent here is to, this is a program that will build, right? And so, setting an initial goal of X percent of your business owners, right? Because they're probably the ones who are going to, not benefit the most, but who are more accessible, right? Who have more of a need to interact with the chief in terms of, oh, I have to do an inspection, right? And
Great. Councilor Vino.
Yep, through you, Mayor Broad. This question kind of focuses on safeguarding information and whatnot. Does your software, does this program have a focus on information security? Just I can imagine people thinking about putting their information about their house and what they have there, and then you get into the business side, and we're talking about gate codes and access codes, and even if you want to go really into the weeds with the bad guys, so to speak, if you pre-plan for an event, then that means they could see that pre-plan as well. Does your software have, like, where do you guys stand on the security side of things from an information safeguards standpoint?
So we are incredibly secure. And I can provide to Chief all of our security documentation. First thing I'll say is our Canadian customers are all hosted on Canadian servers, so there's no data sharing between the US and Canada. Secondly, we're what's called like SOC 2 compliant in terms of a data security level. So it's I'll get all of the details of that, but again, it's a very secure system. Additionally, when someone registers for Pursuit, there's some FAQs in there about our security, the way that we keep the data safe with a bunch of FAQs, so the residents and businesses can look at those. Those questions are answered up front. So, but I'll make sure that I get that information over to Chief to share with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
And just through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe I already have that stuff, that it was sent through and that we reviewed it all before we enrolled, but I can get that out to council.
Yeah, just on that comment, we should just make sure we engage Mike at the counties, right? So he knows this software we're gonna have on our server or access to, so that'd be good. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Broad. Just on the emergency management side, so you mentioned about iPads in our trucks. Does all of our trucks need to be equipped with these iPads, or is it just kind of the frontline pumper? What's your envision on that?
So we are currently equipped every vehicle. So as a few of you have experienced being on the fire department, you're on a fire scene, you're waiting for that next tanker to arrive with water. Command can now look at the iPad and see the trucks coming down the road. Our dispatch has access to that, can see all of our fleet. We can take trucks in and out of service. We can move them around. We can do all sorts of things through this.
Okay, just to follow up on the initial setting up. So let's say we go to just as an example, a Ross video, and we do initial setup. We get it all inputted. Would this be an annual thing that we would have to go back and continuously ensure that we're up to date, or is this then the responsibility of, let's say, a Ross video? I just use it as an example, but any industry or any commercial business, would they be able to update their information through a similar program, or how would that work?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor, they can update it as often as they want to, as often as they need to. Our goal would be, once we get people enrolled, to send out reminders. Is your information up to date? Whether that's emergency contacts, chemicals kept on a property, all sorts of things. One of the places where we've seen the most excitement for this is through community living. We have a number of those homes in our area, so now their fire safety plans are directly uploaded into the system. So we now are not looking for that soggy binder that's sitting outside that 3 firefighters are trying to share. Every iPad can open that fire safety plan and manage the incident.
Okay, great, thank you.
Councilor Ward.
Thanks, Mayor. So is also the intent of this project to also expand to maybe one day if you're building a house? So let's say we continue to grow our township, our municipality. If you wanted to, as an individual, you could upload your house plan. I imagine, I've never been on the fire department and I'm not a firefighter, but going into a house or a building that you've never been into is probably covered in smoke, probably pretty disorientating. Is that the intention too? Like, I think that would be kind of interesting. Can you do that with this, or?
You can upload any documents.
Anything you want.
So,
Oh, okay.
Just an example, I had 2 recruits here yesterday pre-planning the entire municipal building.
Oh.
So if you'd like, we can look at that afterwards, but you can upload photos, you can upload floor plans, you can, all sorts of stuff.
Very cool. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Smith?
So just in terms of like doing your fire inspections and stuff like that, will this help speed up the process of like those like annual inspections and stuff like that?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, this has been the most amazing process and program to work with. In fact, I had 2 restaurants locally that had a few deficiencies to fix up. While I was away on course, they were able to reach out to me, send me the documentation and photographs with a short video that the repairs were made. And from my tablet, I was able to update their information, issue compliance, and get letters off to the health unit. So this is really streamlining. This is great records management and very efficient.
Deputy Mayor?
Just quick, yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. So can this be integrated with our building services department? When you talk about inspections and not some, you know, sometimes there is that overlap of both departments. Can this kind of,
So we haven't gone
Working.
too far down that road. We're still getting fire up and running with everything. Just because there's so many layers to this. For the first time, I can now do, you know, payroll reports. I can do status on all of these different things that Amy's talked about. I'm working with a few other chiefs in the county that are looking to go to First Due as well, because we can share information with our neighboring departments. So now if South Stormont is also a First Due user and responding to South Dundas, they now have, I can give them access to the pre-plan that they're coming to help with. So that's definitely something we can look at as we're moving through the process, but.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. That's great information, and looking forward to hearing more about the results of the program. Thank you very much, Amy, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for inviting me. We really appreciate you and the chief, and we look forward to working together for a very long time.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay, now we'll move into delegation 6B. So from the counties, we have Todd Leahy here to talk about the South Dundas plaques, and looks like John Sharing is with him as well. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate the time. And thank you, Council, for allowing us to speak to you this evening. You just bear with me for a second. I'm going to open my computer because my eyes aren't working. And my apologies for not turning on the microphone. Don't tell anybody at the county office I did that. With your permission, Your Worship, I can begin.
Absolutely.
So thank you once again for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Really, this doesn't need to be a long delegation. What we wanted to do was provide council and the municipality with an opportunity to see the 3 plaques that are going to be installed next spring. And by extension, we wanted to advise and let the public know what is coming, and I'm sure everyone will be quite happy. I'm joined this evening by retired Lieutenant Colonel Bill Shearing from the SD&G Highlanders, who was kind enough to provide some content for some of the one of the plaques, and helped us as well secure some funding for that plaque. And he's been an indispensable asset, as had the Highlanders, in completing this project. So, an explainer. The SDG Historic Tour is a series of 27 plaques that tell stories of events and communities and amenities from our past. 18 of the 27 plaques have already been installed throughout SDG counties. The tour will feature heavily in SDG tourism marketing efforts in 2025 as a new interactive website is unveiled, and that website will capitalize on opportunities like cycling tours and geocaching. The 3 plaques that are depicted on this particular slide, Your Worship, are plaques that have already been installed in South Dundas as part of Phase 1. The first plaque there is the Dr. Malin Locke plaque. That's in Williamsburg. The St. Lawrence Iroquois plaque was actually probably one of my favorites. It tells a story that a lot of people wouldn't know about the St. Lawrence Iroquois and some of the original stewards of the land here in our region. And then, of course, we couldn't do a plaque on the history of South Dundas without mentioning the McIntosh apple And that's a plaque that is located at Macintosh Park. So phase 2 of the plaques, this will be the final phase, and it will include the installation of 7 more plaques in our region, including 3 here in the municipality of South Dundas. Funding for these plaques has come from SDG counties, as well as Swank Construction, the Thompson family of Iroquois, and the SD&G Highlanders Foundation. SD&G counties has been tasked with the installation of these plaques. That will take place in the spring of next year. We'd obviously like to thank our partners for their kind financial contributions, as well as a passion for local history. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Susan Robinson from the Dundas County Archives, who has been a great ally throughout this entire project. And so, as I said, our plan is to order these plaques soon. We just got a confirmation today, in fact, that our manufacturer is ready to go. So presumably by the end of this month, we'll be sending those plaques out to be manufactured. We'll get them back probably before the end of the year. We'll store them, and then SDG County staff will do the installation in the spring. So if we can move along, I'd really like to take an opportunity, as I said, to talk about these plaques. So the first one is commemorating Dr. Marion Hilliard, who was born here in Morrisburg and was one of the first Canadian women licensed to practice medicine in Canada. And really, in terms of women's reproductive health, she put Canada on the map. She is an absolute rock star. She was a pioneer in her field, and she led the way for future generations of female doctors. So this was a plaque that, as I said, Susan Robinson helped out with a great deal, and I just like to make note of the fact that that painting that's at the top of the plaque actually hangs in the Dr. Marion Hilliard Public School in Toronto. So it's clearly, she's clearly been an impact on our country. So the location for this plaque, Your Worship, would be here at Municipal Hall. I'm really in your hands in terms of where you would like that done. We have the ability to place these plaques on walls. We also have the ability to put them on a podium. So we can discuss those options at a later date, but that would be our suggestion, Your Worship. The second plaque is Dutch Meadows. So Dutch Meadows has streets that are named after cities that were liberated by the Canadian Army during the Second World War, and more than 7,600 Canadians were killed during operations to liberate the Netherlands, and that includes nearly 100 members of the SD&G Highlanders. This is a plaque that I hold a great deal of respect for, especially given the time of year, Your Worship. And perhaps I know I said I wouldn't ask him to do too much talking tonight, but perhaps Bill, if you have an opportunity here, maybe just talk a little bit about the history of places like the Netherlands and how the SD&G Highlanders were a big part of liberating that part of our world.
I'll try. When I was with Roman Haas at corporate meetings, they didn't let me sit down. They would say, stand up. But to make sure they all saw me, I used to stand in chairs. Just some background. Recently asked what I was all about. Trained as a soldier, educated as an engineer. I was with the regular force from 1952 to 1965 when I requested my release and came to Morrisburg. The service was in Canada and in Germany. And with the, once I left Caldwell Linen Mills and had a decent working life, and with Roman Haas, I then became involved with the Reserve Force, the SD&G Highlanders, from 1970 to 1981, and then as honorary colonel appointed in 2005 to 2010. My first trip to Holland was in 1955, and the purpose of going there was to look at the cemetery, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission cemetery in the Arnhem area. In over the years, I have participated or visited memorial services in 6 of the cemeteries in Holland. There are far more of them, but the majority of them that I participated in had graves of members of the Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry Highlanders. When I served in Germany, I was there twice for the summer of 1955, and then back in 60 to 64, And visiting cemeteries, memorials, with my wife's support, was very much part of my life, even making a trip to Italy to visit a family friend's grave. In the tours that I've had in 2008, 2009, 2012, we established a connection with many of the people of the Netherlands. They were our hosts for on these visits. And for anyone who's had the opportunity to visit Holland and connect with people involved with the Second World War, you will find that they are very involved, I'll say. And since that time, we established friends with them. But one of the things about visiting Holland, beside the cemeteries, is all of the memorials there. I shouldn't go on, but as an example, there is one little community that in April of 1945, 11 Glens SG&G Highlanders were killed, April 3rd and 4th. That community has changed into a subdivision, and 10 streets and a bridge have been named in honor of those 11 people killed. That's just one example of what goes on over there. That's why I became interested in a plaque in Dutch Meadows to honor Canadians as they would be in Holland. And I'm just so pleased that the counties have come ahead and we're coming up with this plaque to honor nearly 100 members of the SG&G Highlanders, one of them being from here, who was killed on the first day of the operations to liberate Holland. And then which was the 9th of October, 1944, and then on the 31st of October, 1944, a resident of Matilda Township was lost, and supposedly his body has never been found. And he is in an unknown soldier's grave. And an unknown soldier's grave is shown there. But in his case, Wallace Ace, in his case, there are a group in Holland that believe they know where he was buried. They know the whole story, and they have gone to the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. That's an example of the interest in Canadians in the Netherlands. And by the way, for tonight, I'm wearing the blazer that I wore in 1955 to make that first cemetery visit. I've said enough.
Your Worship, just to kind of bookend that, this plaque will be installed at Elst Avenue and Rotterdam Way in Dutch Meadows. And then finally, I'd like to acknowledge the Thompson family. The Thompsons, as many of you probably know, go back quite a few generations in Iroquois. Thomas and Margaret's Thompson's first general store was established in the late 1800s, and it was located on King Street in Iroquois, and it was really known as a thriving establishment which specialized in coffee, tea, and dry goods. And more than 100 years later, the family continued to operate a thriving lumber business at that location. And it is our goal to install that plaque along the Iroquois waterfront, along that recreation path that is there. So with that, Your Worship, that is the basis of our presentation today and the 3 plaques that we plan to install next spring. I'd love to answer some questions if there are some.
No, it's great, Todd. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Bill, for sharing with us tonight. I do know in all my travels with Susan Peters over the last 2 years, she mentions Dr. Marion Hillard a lot, so that's great to have that plaque. And with the Dutch Meadows, I do want to say that Mary Biovels and Ron Swank were a key part of making that happen, so that was great. And then the summer when MP Duncan, MPP Quinn, and I were celebrating with the Thompsons their 160th anniversary, kind of came to Fort Lake that maybe a plaque similar to what we've been doing. So that came to work, and Todd went right to work on that one. So I thank you for that one, Todd. But they're great, and looking forward to seeing them up next summer. Any other questions or comments, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, and through you, Mayor Broad. Just want to thank both of you for your dedication. I think this is just wonderful what you've done and what you continue to do. And for Mr. Sharon, you don't need to stop talking, because I think we could listen to you for hours. I think your knowledge and your history is second to none. When I look at these plaques, I think they're just great. I mean, it complements other things, other plaques, other dedications that South Dundas has done. When you go through along both waterfronts in Iroquois and Morrisburg, you see about Dr. Locke, you see about the Seaway. Iroquois is just in the middle of doing another plaque working with the United Empire Loyalists. So that just shows how we are dedicated. For Dutch Meadows, a little bit of a story, and I would say I'd like to be part of that
Sure,
group
absolutely,
as well, because I worked hard with Mr. Swank. I know it was on the engineering side, but I worked hard with Mr. Swank on the engineering and of that development. And I got to admit, when he first came up with the street names, I questioned Ron and said, Ron, where do these street names come in? He gave me a little bit of the history, not as much as Mr. Sheeran, but he gave me a little bit of the history. And I saw Rotterdam Way, and I'm like, Rotterdam Way, that's a real weird name. But lo and behold, I've done 2 developments, one here at Dutch Meadows, and I'm part of another one in Ottawa that actually has the same street name. So there's quite a history on that. So it's kind of neat to be part of that history. So again, I just want to thank both of you very much for presenting and continuing this hard work. I think it's well worth it. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think when we put up signs that say where Ontario began, here in, South Dundas, Upper Canada, and these are the evidences of that along the way. Any other comments? Question? No, that's great. So thanks, Todd. Thanks, Bill, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for your time,
Yeah, thank you
Mayor and
very
Council.
Okay, moving into action request. 7A, ED 2024-03, 2024 Community Improvement Plan, intake number 2. Tia Fraser Dupuy.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Broad, the second intake of the Community Improvement Program closed on October 18th, and the review committee met on October 22nd. So the report in front of you is to approve the committee's recommendation, which is for Tan's Fusion, the much-awaited new Thai restaurant that just had their soft opening. So they're looking for $2,636 in grant funds between the facade and signage, just to update their entrance, and then a new sign, and $16,124 in loan funds for a new HVAC system. So after intake 1, there was $6,500 in remaining funds. So the $2,636 will be taken from that.
Very good. Any questions, comments? No, I think it's great. Businesses continue to take advantage of some of the grant funding and then the loans to make improvements to their facilities. So that's great. And welcome to Morrisburg, Tannis Fusion. So heard some good reports online so far, and anxiously waiting to get there myself. So I do have a motion that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas approve the following commercial building improvement application as recommended by the South Dundas Community Improvement Plan Review Committee. Tannis Fusion by Nikan Thai, 2636 facade improvement, signage awning grant, and $16,124 commercial loan improvement at the location of 63 Main Street on Morrisburg, Ontario. Total project cost of $21,296. Summary, the update entrance will meet the accessibility standards, HVAC unit replacement, and updating of sign and lighting. Motion moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Tia? 7B, TS 2024-08, Matilda Transfer Station Design Concept. Manager Hyman, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you, you'll find the report to start the process with our transfer site at the Matilda landfill. So a little bit of the background. So the municipality of South Dundas has been working with WSP for several years, which has included the closure of the Williamsburg landfill site, the expansion of the Matilda site, and the future of South Dundas in regards with the waste and recyclables program. So in 2021, the Council of the Day made the decision to proceed with a transfer station to support the needs of the residents of South Dundas for curbside collection. I attached the CAO's report, past CAO Garrity's report as reference, so you can understand the background of where we went to get to where we are right now, and the different tasks that were associated with it. So within the annual report from WSP for 2023, they gave a blurb, which I quoted in italics, which stated how many years of life we had left if we did not do anything as far as diverting our waste. So as of July 1st, the municipality of South Dundas has started diverting waste to GFL, and as to date on October 15th, we have diverted 643.79 metric tons of waste, which is quite a lot. So I'm hoping that that transfers once we do our annual reporting in November. I hope that transfers into more useful years of life remaining in Matilda because of that amount of waste that's being diverted. So within the scope of work from WSP, they're going to come up with a concept design for a transfer facility incorporating low-level retaining walls. So when I say low-level retaining walls, there'll be roughly 3 to 4 feet lower than the height of the bin. So people can walk up and throw their waste into the top of the bin without falling in or having to give the big heave-ho to get the waste into the bin. In speaking with WSP, I myself came up with a concept idea by visiting different waste sites of having 3 waste bins, having 1 waste metal bin, having 1 for tires, and 1 for yard and leaf. So that would equal 6 total bins for the facility. They'll then provide a 3D rendered model of the proposed layout. They'll apply cost estimates and attend some meetings. So with that, it does not include recyclables and construction and demolition waste. There'll be no bins for any of those projects. So next steps after that would be geotechnical and budgetary so that we can start moving forward. They anticipate to have the report to us by February 14th. I would then present it to council and we could tear it apart, we could change things. It's just a concept so we can get the process rolling in the right direction. At this point, I can answer any questions which you may have.
Thank you, Manager. I would be excellent as we're moving forward, so that I like the idea we're going to have more opportunities to look at it. This is just kind of the kickoff on that. I would be interested to know, and probably none of them know, is maybe some of our local other municipalities, what they are going to do with recycling in that faction, just to understand how that might play in. Just kind of tweaked my interest when you said there wasn't a plan today. Just interested to know at some point what other municipalities may be thinking along those lines as well. But otherwise, thanks for the report. Any other questions, comments?
I have a question. Thanks. Thank you, Mayor. So through you to Manager Hyman, I guess the only question I had is, we really have talked about the ICNI and disposal of that, but I'm going to go back to if I'm a resident, I just need clarification here because I'm sure people will read this. So if I'm a resident and I got rid of a toilet or a vanity, can I still come to Matilda?
Well, that would be part of, through you, Mayor Broad, that would be part of the discussion when we bring back the landfill bylaws on where do we want to go? Do we want to accept residential construction or do we eliminate it? And that would be an open conversation that we could have at that point. And if the flavor of council is to, yes, allow that, then we'd have to incorporate another bin for that.
So just through you, Mayor, so my concern is we haven't had that discussion and then we're going through with design. I would rather have that discussion and then do the design. I mean, if we need to add an extra bin now, like, can we have it designed just to have access to an extra bin? Like,
Sorry, through you, Mayor Broad, I can contact WSP tomorrow and say incorporate 7 bins. And it's just stretching the platform out, another bin is all that it's gonna, because all 6 bins are on the same side of the facility. So when people drive up, all 6 bins are lined up. So if it's gonna be a 7th bin, well, then there'll be a 7th bin. It's not a big deal at that point.
I would be in favor of us adding a few extra spots because I think that, you know, if anything, waste is gonna become one of those things that you have to sort more of. I'm not saying necessarily it's IC&I, I'm not saying it's gonna be construction and demo waste, but you never know what's coming down the pipe these days with what we have to sort out and what we don't. I'd rather have more than less, especially during the design phase. It doesn't mean that we need to construct it, right? So just so we have the design, the geotechnical's done, and we can move on. I don't know what council's thoughts are on that, but I would prefer to just have it incorporated.
Yeah, I would support that to know 7, 8, 9 is, you know, how could we expand it? How do we buy the bins or not? That's another question. You never know, you may have a bin out of service for temporary and you may need a different spot. So yeah, I think we should incorporate that at this point since we're engaging the engineers, for sure. Councilor Vino?
Just on the structure, that maybe just structured as the 6 bins that we think we need, and then the cost per extra stall. So then we can just know if we want to add 8 extra stalls, we know what cost per
Yeah,
extra stall is, right?
Very good. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. So I just want to get a couple clarifications here. So they're really designing a concept plan and a 3D render at this point. So, Jeff, Mr. Hyman, if you've already went out and done all this research, would we not be able to just pull something together ourselves? I mean, I'm just a little confused on, if we already done the research on some transfer stations, would we not be able to in-house just lay this out and then get to the next step, maybe when we need more detail and hire the engineers for more detail engineering for the retaining walls and the geotech and whatnot?
So through you, Mayor Broad, yes. But I felt that going through WSP would be the proper way. They can provide us with a proper drawing of the conceptual plan so that we can physically see it. With myself doing it, I would be having a pen and a piece of paper and I would be making hand scratches. And at the end of the day, you really wouldn't understand what I'm trying to tell you because I probably wouldn't understand what I'm trying to tell you. So this way, it seems more formal. And at $9,600, it's relatively not expensive to bring a proper drawing to council to view.
Yeah, and through you, Mayor Broad, yeah, so, I guess I'm kind of leaning with Councilor Ward a little bit. Should we not be having like a discussion about exactly what, or not exactly, but us flushing through some concepts before they develop their concept plans? I just, you know, if they develop their concept plans that we're gonna have a discussion about, and then they're gonna go and develop some more concept plans, I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have that little bit of a more detailed discussion just prior to them getting underway.
So through you, Mayor Broad, so in our travels with CAO Mills and Clerk LeBrun, what we're presenting is a capture of what we saw at the other transfer stations. We're all capturing the same thing.
Okay.
It's just how do we design it? Do we put 3 on either side? Do we put 6 on one side? Do we put 3 and 4? That's where we're coming up with the conceptual design. We aren't reinventing the wheel and throwing a bin in where that shouldn't be there. Every other facility we visited all had the same things. It's just the layout format is where I want to present something that I think would be easy to manage, easy to maintain, and safe for the residents to come in, dispose, and exit. It's just simple is the route I wanted to go, and that's what I want to present to council whenever the conceptual drawing is completed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks
Oh,
for the
great.
clarification.
Any other questions, comments? Councilor Smith?
Yeah, through Mayor Broad for Manager Hyman, since we're doing this basically from scratch. I know it would cost a lot more to do it in another location, but would it be, it'd be way more convenient if it was located within one of the villages? So I know that's gonna cost more, but is there would it get a lot more use? Would there be any savings in diverting more from the garbage stream? Like, would that work out, or would that not even be close?
Through you, Mayor Broad, no, I wouldn't not even entertain that, because that's another ECA, that's more requirements from the province, that we're years out from that, because then you would need a geo, you need environmental, you would need so many different things, where we already have it set up in Matilda. It's ready to go, that's our waste disposal site, that's where everybody knows, and the permitting's already in place.
Thank you. Okay, I do have a motion that the municipality of South Dundas approves the service of WSP Consulting with an upper limit of $9,625 plus HST for a concept design of a transfer station for the Matilda waste disposal site, and that the Director of Transportation be authorized to sign all managed and all necessary documents to give effect to the contract. Moved by Councilor Smith, seconded by Councilor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Okay, boards and committees. Lots of activity over the last 10 days. So we'll kick off with 9B, the Iroquois Waterfront Committee. Deputy Mayor was away that night, and Director Jansen's not with us tonight, so we'll get an update next meeting, maybe from the minutes, we can get an update. Councilor Vino, Morrisburg Waterfront.
Yep, so we did meet on the 22nd. We had a delegation that night, which was nice. Tammy Tom from the Iroquois Committee was there, trying to, do like what the original intent was to make the groups work together. So one topic that we discussed with her was the accessibility mats for the beaches for wheelchair or people that are have mobility issues. The Iroquois Committee thinks that they have a lot longer of a span to get from solid ground to the beach, as well as they don't have currently a accessible washroom, whereas Morrisburg does. So she thought maybe they should pass the torch to us for the first year and see if we can get something installed in Morrisburg, and then they'll be able to learn from that and do it in Iroquois. So we're looking into that. And also they really were intrigued in our Christmas tree bonfire idea. And they wanted to do some events kind of like that, and they were thinking about, maybe doing their own. And so what it was more or less decided with at the meeting was perhaps every other year we rotate towns. So Iroquois hosts it, Morrisburg hosts it, and vice versa. So their committee is gonna come out and help us run ours this year, and see how everything goes, and then we'll go from there. We got an update from our working group for the fundraising for the Earl Baker Park Recreation. So they're working through a fundraiser on New Year's Eve. So we're still working through that. We went through our budget, put together the budget and our requests for next year, as that's due, I think, on the 17th of this month or somewhere around there.
Yep.
So budget was cleared up that night. The boat launch signage, we had an update, but then now I have a new one from just this week. So staff was able to install our new Welcome to Morrisburg sign at the Morrisburg boat launch. So it's looks really good if anybody's been by. We had a shoreline planting update from October. Everything went well. We had lots of help and lots of plants were planted. Soccer nets, we've got them in the works. We've commissioned some new soccer nets to be built from Cortec and Cornwall, so they're going to build those over the winter. We'll deliver them and install the nets in the spring in front of the splash pad at Earl Baker Park. There'll be a new set of soccer nets down there for the community. And then we talked about our Christmas tree bonfire as far as the logistics of that. And that was pretty much the end of the meeting. So
Good.
More forthcoming on the bonfire. We have planned that for the Saturday following New Year's. So New Year's will be the Wednesday night. Saturday, and I think we'll be able to be dropping trees off at the Morrisburg Beach parking lot starting on the Thursday, we think. So more to come.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor Vino. Under 9D, Community Improvement Plan, Guess we had the secrets out.
Well, let me see here, I can,
Noted in the agenda for
yeah,
tonight.
noted in the agenda.
Very
yeah.
good. Under E, the library board met in Williamstown last week. Reviewed all the circulation data, and data continues to look good, especially in our libraries for the circulation and use. We talked through our budget for 2025, and the next library meeting of the board will be here in Morrisburg in November, so we get to show off our library to the board at that time. Under F, the awards gala, so we hosted our business awards, and this year we moved to the gala night, which was well attended, and I want to thank everybody involved with that, and I'll usually save it for the end, but certainly Tia Fraser-Dupuis and the committee and the staff that helped out, thank you for all that, and I am going to just mention, so it's on public record, of all the winners, so congratulations to Business of the Year, Cedar Glen Golf Course, Adult Community Builder Award, Jennifer Eman, Adult Community Builder Award, Sarah Goglin Henderson, Adult Community Builder Award, the South by Group, South Dundas United Football Club, Green Award, Meave Wendell, Young Professional Award, Rob Harbers, the Agricultural Leadership Award went to Upper Canada Creamery, Youth Builder Community Award, Harneet Chima, Youth Community Builder Award Group, South Dundas Ball Hockey and Ben LaPierre, Initiation Award, Michael McEwen, my puppet pal, Mark so dearly missed that night. My new business award to Emard Brothers, first award they've ever won. So congratulations. And the tourist award to the Iroquois Business Group. So congratulations to all of them, and thanks for everybody involved. It was a great night. Looking forward to making plans for next year's already. Right, Tia? Under G, the Warden's Banquet last week. So a few of us, Councillor Smith, Deputy Mayor, and myself attended the banquet. We recognized Warden McDonald and incoming Warden Martin Lang, and the official ceremony will happen in December as we work through that. Youth Working Group, Councillor Ward.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we met obviously on October 9th. We're talking about, basically just went through what they're going to submit for budget for recreation. So because it's a working group, it's not coming to council in that, but we did discuss some budget items, and then we continue to work on our January event. That'll be with the schools in Iroquois, so.
Right on. And under 9I, we did have a county council special meeting on Saturday. It was follow-up from the notice to motion that I made earlier this year on the planning approach to social funding within SDNG. So we talked through two things, and there'll be more to come from that, but advocacy on the social funding and then policy on social funding when it represents to nonprofit fundraising groups. So we're going to work with that subcommittee on information on that coming forward. So more to come on that one. Under consent agenda, 10A, memorandum of South Nation Conservation, seasonal conservation area, closure and winter recreation. Under B, minutes of the South Nation Conservation Board of Directors meeting, September 19th. C, resolution St. Catharines Green Roads Project. D, resolution Township of Baldwin, concerns with transport and disposition of norm of the Agnew Lake Towlings Management Area. E, resolution Township of Larder Lake, financial assistance to municipalities to complete the ARO. F, resolution Temisking Shores provincial decision regarding alcohol sales in convenience stores and locations that sell fuel to drivers and the development of comprehensive provincial alcohol strategy. So I have a motion here to accept all the items under the consent agenda as presented. Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Discussion items. So we'll start with 11A and then we'll go to 10G. So 11A, the agreement, South Dundas Thursday High School parking lot. Our planner, Stephanie Warren. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. So this is just a short report. We were working with the Upper Canada District School Board on other items, and we identified that there was no formal agreement for the use of the lands that they use for parking, which is those are lands that are owned by South Dundas. So through those discussions, we decided that it would be best to formalize the use of the lands by an agreement, and then have that registered on title. So this report's just asking for direction to do so.
Council team, we're okay with the recommendation at this point? Excellent, okay, direction given. Thank you, Ms. Moran. And Councillor Ward, 10G, seeking support good road establishment of Ontario Rural Road Safety Program.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a motion being put forward by Ontario Good Roads. So it's basically talking about how the number of road fatalities has dramatically increased in the past couple of years, and that, 55% of all road fatalities happen in rural areas, which is a startling statistic. Obviously, rural areas have higher speed limits, different vehicle types as well. Agricultural equipment are included in that statistic. And that also causes insurance premiums in rural areas, especially if you're driving, to also increase. So kind of looking at a multifaceted issue. So basically this rural road safety program they're proposing, and I'd like to support as a counselor and to ask for council support, is looking at, targeting municipalities, rural municipalities, and their most dangerous roads, and coming up with appropriate safety plans and supporting municipal staff and getting the budget they need to make sure that those roads are safe and that we reduce fatalities on our roads. And I look to Chief Aldred Hughes, maybe in his new data collection, he'll be able to tell us where we're at, because I do know the fire department responds to a lot of those fatalities, unfortunately. So I think we've been unfortunate the last couple of years to have a few, so I think this would be a good program for us to support. So just looking for the rest of council to support as well.
Yep, I think so, absolutely. Yeah, so definitely support, direct staff to follow up on this program. Yeah. And it's certain something Deputy Mayor talks about speed limits at the county level, so we've talked about both of those. So that's something, we can follow up to at the county level with this resolution that we're making, make sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think we're coming back at committee of the whole, talk about
Yeah.
speed and stuff like that, so it's, yeah,
Very
for
good.
sure.
Okay, under 12, notices of motion. Seeing none for tonight. 13, ratification bylaw. So I have a motion that bylaw 2024-78, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, ratify matters dealt with resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. And a motion to adjourn to meet at the call of the chair. Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Always, we bring our regular meeting for November 6th to a close. I do want to shout out to all the folks that helped with the gala, but more importantly, as you can see, we're in our poppies tonight, and we had some good discussions with Bill Shearing tonight. Remembrance Day is Monday. Just on the Remembrance Day, as we come together as a community, pause, reflect, and honor the brave, dedicated, the sacrifices of men and women who have served us and continue to serve us today in the Canadian Armed Forces. We remember those that gave their lives in the service of our country, for the battlefields from the First, Second World War, and to all the peacekeeping missions since. We recognize veterans who have returned home and those who are currently serving today. We observe the solemn day on Monday. We take time to reflect as we on our freedoms, and that we don't take them for granted, and the values that make us strong. We owe them our deepest thanks, and we must ensure their sacrifice is never forgotten, so lest we forget. So just a comment for Remembrance Day. So with that, I'll say good night from